Welcome in, Trailblazer Game Day. Early kickoff today, 11 o'clock here local time. Welcome into the Fan Sports Network studios. Welcome in on Trailblazer Sports Vision. Devin Dixon, Caden Formaster. We got a noon kickoff, Caden, and a lot to talk about after the win last week. Trailblazers finished up the preseason 1-3, but a nice win over Northern Iowa at home. The defense shined, the offense behind Reggie Graff just enough, and here we are starting up conference play.
Starting up conference play. Yeah, last week was a lot of fun. We can dig into that as well. But, of course, the UAC, it's a good conference this year. There's a lot of really good things to be excited about if you're a fan of some UAC football because there's some great teams. And Utah Tech is trying to cement themselves as competition in this conference. And they've played some really good games. Yes, they did get one win in their non-conference schedule, but they played some fantastic games throughout. Even in the losses, they still looked really good, really fiery. So I think they're going to be good competition for anybody in the UAC this year.
20-9, Utah Tech took care of UNI. Reggie Graff, over 100 yards rushing, over 100 yards passing. Good crowd, almost 5,000 fans seeing the Blazers notch win number 1 of the season. But now we go out on the road, and it will be Reggie Graff back at quarterback. Bronson Barbin is available, but they're going to stick, at least as the starter, with Reggie Graff. Yesterday, Coach Anderson told me that on the show that, yep, it'll be Reggie Graff to start. Didn't rule out the opportunity for Bronson to play if they felt like they needed a spark or something. But for now, it looks like Reggie is going to be the guy.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me just because Reggie was the one that got him their first win, right? He was the sole quarterback for that win against Northern Iowa. So in some ways, to me, it makes sense that you're going to give the guy the football that was the one that helped you go out there and get that win, right? He played really well in that game. And especially in the second half, the Utah Tech Trailblazers just looked a lot better overall. So you're going to give them a little bit of a redo, I guess, in some ways, saying, hey, you guys were the ones that did really well last week. Let's keep it rolling with you guys again this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some great things they can do when you put 7 or 8 in the box. Reggie is a quarterback still. He can beat you with his arm. Threw a nice slant pass for a touchdown, Daniel Thomason, late in that second quarter. That really sparked the offense. Rushes it for over 100 yards. So expect a lot of Reggie Graff in this game today. Now, Austin Peay. This is a good football team historically. The Govs at home at the Fort. They play well. They beat Middle Tennessee to start the season. They played number 3 Georgia in Athens, Caden, and only lost 28-6, but easily covered the spread in that game. Then their only home game so far this year, took care of Morehead State 56-7. They did go down to number 14 Abilene Christian and lose last week 45-31. So they're looking to get back on track. But that's the 14th ranked team. Even though they lost, they are in the top 25. They are a ranked team. This makes it now 4 ranked opponents for Utah Tech in the first 5 weeks of the season.
And that makes it difficult, doesn't it, when you're playing against that many ranked teams? But to go back to what you're talking about, Austin Peay takes on the Georgia Bulldogs, right? We're talking about one of the top teams right now in all of college football. Holds them to 28 points. Nobody's really done that this year. Even when they're playing Tennessee, they score 40 or 41 on Tennessee, I believe. So it's like they're a team that defensively held up their own against a team like Georgia, which is phenomenal. But then again, you look at what else they've done, and it's like, yes, they've beat one FBS team, lost to one FBS team, and then they have lost to Abilene Christian. What does that say about Abilene Christian, or what does it say about Austin Peay? I don't know. But the point is that they can be beaten, but they're going to be a tough team to beat. That's the way I look at this.
Yeah, I was at practice the other day. Blazers got a lot of confidence, got a lot of pep in their step. They think they can go out there and pull the upset. They've almost been that underdog every single week. And for the record, they've covered the spread in Vegas every single week. They have kind of relished that underdog role. They're going to be underdogs again out there in Clarksville, Tennessee. Chris Parson, the starting quarterback, he was 16 of 23 against that Georgia defense for 151 yards. He did throw an interception, was sacked twice. That's Georgia's defense. On the flip side, they held Stockton Gunner in that Georgia game to 26 of 34 for only 227. So this is a team that has some playmakers, has some size, has some strength, and can get it done and match up. 28-6. You feel like that's a moral victory against the Georgia Bulldogs.
In a way, absolutely. Yeah, you only score 6, but at the same time, if you're out there holding them to 28 and you cover, I mean, I would consider that a moral victory for any FCS team going up against the top 25 FBS team, not to mention a top 3 FBS team.
We're going to talk with some players here in just a minute. We're also going to hear from Greg Stevens, offensive coordinator, our coordinator's corner here in our pregame show. Trailblazer Game Day underway here on the Fan Sports Network and Trailblazer Sports Vision. Devin Dixon, Caden Formaster. The matchups in the UAC today. Got the Austin Peay Utah Tech game. We're getting you ready for that noon kickoff. You got Eastern Kentucky, Nickel State. UIW at Abilene Christian. Lamar is at Central Arkansas. SUU is hosting West Georgia in Cedar City, 6:30 tonight up there at Eccles Coliseum. Abilene Christian at North Alabama. The other matchup, that's October 4th, so that'll be next week. You look at the conference standings, Caden. Tarleton State, 5-0. Undefeated, 1-0 in conference play, but West Georgia 1-0, 4-0. So you got 2 undefeated teams in conference and overall, kind of leading that UAC charge. Abilene Christian is 2-2, 1-0 in conference with the win over the Govs last week. North Alabama 1-3, SU is 1-3, Utah Tech 1-3, Austin Peay sitting at 2-2 and 0-1 in conference play, and then you got Central Arkansas 0-1, Eastern Kentucky 0-1 in conference, both 1-3 overall. So those are the conference standings going into today's game.
Yeah, it's a tough conference, especially when you're looking at some of those top teams. But the amount of guys in this conference, amount of teams in this conference that are ranked or close to it, and I mean, even a team like Southern Utah, you look at SUU, and they might not be ranked, but they have played some really good games against ranked opponents, and some of them they've come up short as well. But I think they're also another one of those teams that they're right there in the mix of it. And Utah Tech, like you mentioned, the underdogs, they're covering the spread every single week. In some ways, I feel like they're in the mix. Even though they've only won the one game, I feel like they're a team that no one wants to face on this schedule this year.
Utah Tech kicking off its final season of United Athletic Conference play today, Saturday afternoon, kickoff noon in the Volunteer State. Matchup with 23 in one pool, number 25 in the other pool, Austin Peay. More on the other side. Caught up with Dallin Havea and Justice Inna. Stick around for that later in the show. Caden caught up with Greg Stevens, offensive coordinator. Lots coming up when we come back on the Fan Sports Network, Trailblazer Sports Vision. Dallin Avea, Utah Tech linebacker, stopping by, getting ready for a road game against Austin Peay this week. And first and foremost, Dallin, congrats. How'd it feel in the locker room last Saturday night getting that first win of the season?
It was a pending win, and so it was great to be able to taste that victory as a team. And we're just hoping to have that victory motivate us to go and win some more, staying humble and hungry, and keep putting our head down and going to work and be able to taste more of that sweetness of victory in the future.
Have you noticed a little bit more pep in the players' steps this week in practice?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. It seems like everyone's more happier. Everyone has a higher morale, so it's great to see that the boys are willing to keep working hard to go see more victories in the future.
Dallin, you're a transfer, came down the I-15 freeway from Provo, BYU. Talk a little bit. Let's let our listeners and our viewers know a little bit about your journey. Tell us about the decision to come play here at Utah Tech.
Yeah, so I went to school at Provo High School. I was a local boy, so I knew I wanted to go BYU. Went to BYU, following my mission for the LDS church, and then went 1 year there and decided to transfer over here, and it's been great. I love the St. George community, very tight-knit community, a lot of great people to network and get to know, and so there's a lot of potential as a football town to grow and be a great team in the future. So I'm excited for the future, excited for the potential that we have, and just willing to work and excited to see what we can do.
Have you found a favorite restaurant in town yet where you and your teammates like to go after you win a football game?
Right now, we've been going to Alfredo's. It's
good call.
The Mexican place, and then I usually always just go to Viva Chicken. I try to keep it healthy with my lifestyle and my diet, but yeah, those I would say they're the two places we'd be going to.
Now, do you come from a football family? I mean, with the last name Havea, I'm sure you got a lot of footballers in your family.
Yep. Yeah, I have an older brother. He committed to BYU before his mission. I have a younger brother who's on his mission right now. He's looking to go play somewhere following his mission. I have another younger brother who's playing football right now for Timpview High School, and he's been balling out. So yeah, football is a big part of our family, and we all love to compete when it comes to football and just push each other to see each other succeed.
I always like to ask, who's your biggest fan? Is it mom? Is it dad? Is it one of your brothers? Somebody else?
I'll say it's probably both my parents for sure. My mom's more of like my fan off the field, pushing me to be a good person and do good in school. And then my pops, he's definitely the one that pushes us on the field to go practice, to work out, and just in every single part. He's the one. He played football when he was in college, so he's definitely the on field, and my mom's the biggest fan off the field to push us. So.
I love it, man. What's something you miss about mom's home-cooked meals? Is there a meal that you haven't had for a couple months you're craving?
Man, I just miss being with my family in general, just to be with them and have a shared meal with them. You overlook that when you leave home, but yeah, I try to call it as much as I can so I can make up for that.
Any superstitions, Dallin Havea, before a game? Do you have to do anything to feel right to go out and play?
Just be right with God. Gotta pray. I always gotta pray and just trust that God, whatever happens, it's all in God's plan. So that's my only thing I have, and just go out there and have no fear. So yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the matchup this week, Austin Peay, and also talk to me a little bit. Two-part question here. First part. You guys have 13 sacks. You're part of that. You got a bunch of sacks. The defense has been balling out. You guys are second in the country in sacks. What's been a key to that? And then give me a little preview from a player's perspective on the matchup Saturday.
Yeah, I believe the key to success in our sacks and everything comes from the attention to detail that we have as a defense. Coach Moynihan, he's a very detailed man, and he makes sure that we could be able to do our jobs and do it correctly. And as we do that, everything just works out the way it needs to. And then Coach Vi Tata, he's a pass rush specialist. He's always pushing us on the edge to be able to learn the moves that we need to be able to get to the quarterback. So I think that's where our success comes from, is from those two and their attention to detail and their specialties that they share. And then looking forward to this week, we hope to increase that number, 13, be able to, just see more physicality from us and go get more.
What's a couple keys for the defense against Austin Peay?
Couple keys, just being physical. We know we can compete with anyone, and then it's just holding that out throughout all four quarters. That's what we got a little taste of, being able to hold it out through all four quarters when we played Northern Iowa, and we have a great challenge with another ranked team to be able to put that against them, and even more talent to go against. So Yeah.
Down in Nevada. Thanks for stopping by. Good luck against Austin Peay on the road.
Thank you.
Justice Santa stopping by, one of the big guys up front, getting the job done. Officially, only one sack given up. I know there's a couple grounding calls, but really good job by the offensive line. And Justice, thanks for joining us, man. How we doing?
Doing great, doing great.
Talk to me a little bit about what it was like getting that first win of the season from a player's perspective. Had to feel good after 3 close losses to punch through with that dub.
Yeah, it was an awesome experience. The last 3 weeks prior, we felt like we had it in us to win it, and we finally put together kind of a complete game. Even though we kind of started a little slow in the first half with you and I, we were able to just dominate in that second half, and that's how we want to play every half.
You've been pretty versatile, man. You've been playing left guard, you've been playing right guard, whatever coach needs, right?
Exactly. I'm a tool, and I love playing guard. So left or right is the best thing. You get to pull, you get to hit people. That's the best part of the position.
Is one a little more natural than the other? Where did you play in high school?
I played left tackle, so I guess left side probably be more natural, but it's not too big of a transition for me, to be honest.
You guys had multiple quarterbacks back there, Reggie and Bronson. Reggie got the job done last week. Bronson's got a big arm. Is it easy as a lineman with those two, no matter who's back there, as far as their cadence and the play calling and the command of the offense?
No, yeah, it's really nice, especially both being quite mobile. It makes our job also, a little bit easier. Sometimes they bail us out of bad situations, but we've definitely been able to, be under guidance of those two. They're definitely natural leaders.
Talk to me a little bit about what it's like only giving up that one sack. How much pride does you and your teammates on the offensive line? Sometimes you guys get no credit, man. How fun's that been to be giving your QBs a lot of time and keep them clean for the most part?
Yeah, we got to give a lot of credit to the QBs too. Like I said, they've bailed us out a couple of times, but no, we've definitely taken a lot of pride in that. And I was looking at that today, and we're 5th in the nation of sacks allowed. So we definitely want to keep rising that up, and we want an identity here at Utah Tech knowing that we don't give up sacks. And if you try to do that, you're going to be stopped. So
you're 5th, but the Ivy League's only played, I think, 1 or 2 games. So out of the teams that have played 4 games, you guys are actually tied for 1st. So maybe even a little better than you thought.
Exactly.
Good stuff. Well, let's get to know you a little bit. You come from a football family, man. What's that like? Justin, your father, footballer, right? Great. I mean, what's those conversations with him like, and the rest of your family? I'm sure they're huge supporters of yours.
Yeah, it's quite funny with my dad. A lot of people think that's all he talked about is football, but my dad's he focuses on his football and stuff like that. But with me, it's always everything but football. So
really,
yeah. So family relations, dealing with stuff in my life. We barely ever talk about football, just kind of the normal stuff, but with my dad, it's always just been focusing on everything but football.
So mom wants to talk football and dad doesn't? Is that what I'm getting?
No, neither do. So I mainly just talk football with, my grandpa. My grandpa loves talking about football. So
talk about your journey here. You were started at Utah State. Utah kid, though, grew up in the state. Tell us about how you ended up at Utah Tech. Give us a quick story.
Yeah, so I came off a mission, went to Utah State, played a spring there. I was D lineman. Then I walked on at BYU, played there for about 1.5 years, and they moved me to O-line. I was playing center there at the time, and then didn't feel like it was a good fit for me, and so I hit the transfer portal, and Utah Tech was there, and I have family around here, so that's why I was able to come here, and they've given me the opportunity to be able to play some ball, so that's been awesome.
What do you like to do when you're not playing football? What's a hobby when you're not playing football? What do you like to do to relax and unwind a little bit?
I'm a big fisherman. That's my number one thing to do. So whenever I have free time and I'm feeling it, I usually go out and, some of the old linemen like fishing, so we head out there and go fishing.
Like trout fishing, bass fishing, fly fishing?
All fishing, except I don't fly fish. I don't know how to do that yet, but we go for all species. It's been pretty fun.
You'll have more time once your football days are over.
Exactly.
Someday. All right. Favorite meal before a game? What do you like to chow down on?
Every night before I go get Jack in the Box, which probably doesn't sound like the best, but that's just what I've always been doing. So I go get Jack in the Box, and I get the egg rolls. That's my big superstitious food that I have to eat.
Any music you have to listen to before a game?
I don't listen to any music before games, so that might be the superstition right there. I don't listen to anything. I just kind of act like it's normal practice and a normal day.
Love it. Give me a couple thoughts on Austin Peay getting ready for kickoff.
Austin Peay, definitely a great team. They're ranked right now, and they definitely have all the respect in the world. But we definitely have a good game plan against them, and our big thing is we can out physical anyone. So that's kind of what we're going to do, and we're going to definitely beat them. So
love it. Justice, thanks for stopping by. Fun to get to know you a little bit and chat with you, and good luck. Go get them.
Yep, awesome. Thank you.
inside the coordinator's corner with Coach Greg Stevens, offensive coordinator for Utah Tech Trailblazers. Coach, glad to have you back here this season.
Good to be here. Thanks.
And second time this season that we've had you back here. You were our first one for week one. But listen, hey, this one's we're coming off of a win now, so so it's got to feel good to be back here and not just to be back here, but to be able to come back and coming off of a win. But guess what? The win's behind us. It's all about the next game, right? I'm sure you guys are just prepped for the next one.
Yeah, it's good to get a win under our belt though. But then, yeah, we gotta, turn the page and get ready to play Austin Peay this week.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about. Let's take a look back at last week. Obviously, with it being a win over Northern Iowa, tell me about some of the things that you guys did right. Some of the things that you want to work on for this upcoming week.
Yeah. So the biggest thing is we got to get off to a better start. We didn't play very well at all offensively the first quarter and a half, and then. The last drive before the half, we had a 17-play drive where we went down and scored, and then we played a lot better the second half. I think we were able to run the ball real well. We got to improve. We got to be more efficient throwing the football and stuff. But we was able to run the ball and impose our will on those guys in the second half.
No, that's obviously a big part of the game, right? Is making sure that the run game's going well, that the passing game's going well. Mm-hmm. Tell me about your running backs. I know that the first few games they've at times kind of struggled to get their feet underneath them, but we saw some big plays this last week. What was it like to see the running game feel like it was clicking this week?
Yeah, it was real good. We had Reggie had over 100 yards rushing, and I think Asa was right around there, close to 100. So we was able to run for almost 250 yards in that game. And when you can do that, you control the clock. We keep our defense off the field, and and then the biggest thing is we was able to convert and score points on those drives as well.
Now, I know one of the big topics of conversation from the game last week was penalties. There was a ton of them, especially in that second quarter.
Yeah,
a lot of penalties. Tell me, is that something that you guys kind of talk about, that you work on during the week? Is trying to keep it clean?
Oh yeah, you always got to talk about penalties, and the big penalties you want to avoid is the pre-snap penalties, the false starts and stuff. There's going to be some holds and different things like that throughout the game, but yeah, we got to eliminate some of those penalties. And we had one penalty that we scored a touchdown and got called back, and I think that was just a bad call. But we got to eliminate the pre-snap penalties is what we have to eliminate.
Absolutely. So tell me about Austin Peay coming up. We've got Austin Peay here, and they are a pretty phenomenal team. They've been playing really well in FCS. They've taken on powerhouses like Georgia, and yes, they lost that game, but arguably played them pretty well. But they have gone ahead and won some games against FBS opponents with Middle Tennessee. I mean, they're playing against some really good programs and coming out really well. How do you guys prepare for a good team like this?
Well, the big thing is we got to worry about ourselves. I know that's kind of coach's talk, but if we'll execute and do the things we're supposed to do and do it the right way, I think we can move the ball on them. They're a real solid team. Like you said, they've beat one FBS team already. They handled Middle Tennessee really well, and then they played Georgia fairly close. And then they had a tough game last week with Abilene. But they're a good football team, and they got a lot of talent. They signed a lot of transfers this past year, out of the portal. So their roster is a lot different than it was last year, but we're going to have to come prepared and ready to go. And the biggest thing we got to do offensively is just execute, and if we'll do that, I think we'll be okay.
So tell me a little bit about the quarterback situation. I know that you're getting some guys that are kind of banged up, but Reggie's been doing really quite well. Played really well this last week, and looks like Reggie's ready to go again this week, I assume. Yeah.
Yeah. Reggie will start. He played real well the second half of the game last week. Got to get him off to a little better start. Bronson and Deacon have both been banged up a little bit, and so, but I feel real good about our quarterbacks, all four of them, and but Reggie's going to be our starter, and hopefully he'll have a real good game. I got a lot of confidence in him. He's had a good week of practice, so we're really looking forward to see what he does this week.
Do you feel like coming off of a win, and then this can be tough for some teams, is you don't want to put the cart before the horse and think, hey, we won that one, we're winning the rest all the way out, right? Do you feel like the mentality in the locker room has been a positive one while they're still hungry for more? Because I know that can be a struggle after you come off a win. You got to say, hey, we're still locked in, we're still focused. Is the team focused and ready to play some ball?
Yeah, I think we've been real focused. Like I said earlier, I think we've had a real good week of practice. Our guys, we haven't won a ton of games, so but we've had a lot of close games, and we finally found a way to finish a game last week, and hopefully we can build off of that, and keep improving and getting better, and find ways to win this week.
Do you feel like that's been a big part of it is making sure to close out games? Because that's, you look back against the game against UC Davis, you start out on top and then you lose it. Against Northern Arizona, it was starting off really slow and you're trying to get back into it. And it just feels like this was one of those games where from start to finish, it felt like, hey, we're giving it everything that we've got. Yes, there's going to be some mistakes here or there, but at the end of the game, it wasn't like they fell off. The second half looked really good. So, finishing the game has been a topic of conversation, but it seems like it happened this last week.
Yeah, that's one thing I think when you're trying to build your program and get it turned around is, the guys learning how to finish games and win and what it takes to win football games. It's not easy winning football games in college football, and we got to learn how to do it, and we got to learn how to finish games. Our first 2 games this year, we had a chance to win the game last drive of the game, and we just didn't get it done. And the good thing about this last week, like you were saying, is we found a way to get it done, and now hopefully we can build off that.
Well, best of luck. You're heading out to Tennessee, taking on Austin Peay, so best of luck against them, and go Trailblazers.
Appreciate it.
Hey, welcome back on Trailblazer Game Day. A lot of fun. I always love talking with players, getting to know them a little bit. Great stuff there. Dallin Havea and also Justice Senna. And then great stuff, Caden, from Coach Greg Stevens. Doing a good job. Reggie Graff going to get the start at quarterback today.
Yeah, excited to see Reggie again. I mean, Reggie is one of these players where anytime he's on the field, you just don't know what he's doing. I know defensively it's always tough because is he going to pass? Is he going to run? Is he going to option? And the running game last week looked so much better as well. So I feel like the Trailblazers have opened up that offense a lot in just this one last game against Northern Iowa. So Austin Peay doesn't know what's coming.
It's going to be fun to see the battle in the trenches. I'm looking close. Offense and defensive line, the run game, the pass blocking. It's going to be a battle. I know Utah Tech wants to take the physical brand of football to Austin Peay if they're going to come out. So look for a physical start here and for the duration, really, to be physical as possible without getting penalized in this game. I think Utah Tech has a chance to pull off the upset here, Caden. I would not be shocked whatsoever. I know they're 1-1 in their previous 2 UAC openers. This is the first time they've opened on the road in the UAC. They haven't beaten Austin Peay, but they've been in ball games. This is a different team, though, so I'm excited to see how this one plays out.
It is a different team. I'm excited as well. This is one of those games where, yes, Utah Tech's going to be the underdog. We all know that Austin Peay's a really good football team. But I feel like Utah Tech has taken leaps and bounds forward in the last few seasons, and I think they're ready for it. I think they're ready for the competition tonight.
Austin Peay won 2 years ago, 30-17. Last year, low-scoring game, 13-7 in St. George. But Austin Peay, the Govs, have won both of those matchups. We'll see what happens today. For Caden Formaster, I'm Devin Dixon. Hey, we're going to kick it out to Clarksville, Tennessee. More Trailblazer Game Day with Rod Zundel coming up next on the Fan Sports Network.
Hey, win on me. 1, 2, 3. Fucking go!
How about that? Touchdown, Trailblazers! Touchdown, Trailblazers!
Welcome to Trailblazer Kickoff, presented by Camping World of St. George. Your next great outdoor adventure begins under the big American flag.
Let's go!
We are in Clarksville, Tennessee. Utah Tech begins its final journey in the United Athletic Conference. We're 30 minutes from kick. Trailblazers and the Governors of Austin Peay.
And welcome inside for Terrace Stadium on the campus of Austin Peay University. Getting you ready for the third meeting between Utah Tech and the Governors of Austin Peay. Hi there, everybody. Rod Zundel here. Glad to have you aboard for this high noon kickoff to open up the United Athletic Conference schedule. Third meeting between the Trailblazers and Austin Peay 2 years ago here on this turf. Utah Tech fought hard, a good battle with the Governors. One-score game late in the second half, but Austin Peay pulled away for the 30-7 win. Then last year in St. George, it was a defensive struggle, and Austin Peay coming away with a 13-7 win. Of course, Trailblazers feeling pretty good about themselves, getting their first win last week, a 20-9 win over Northern Iowa.
Congratulations. This is what it should feel like after every game. You guys have earned this. You guys have earned this. And you know, we are capable of a lot more. We are capable of being a lot better. I'm going to save that till Tuesday. We'll talk about it on Tuesday. Be ready to work this week. But this is what we want it to feel like. I appreciate all the work, all the effort. This is what we want every week, and we're not going to settle for anything less. Yes, sir. UT on 3, 1, 2, 3, UT!
What a moment last Saturday night in Greater Zion Stadium, celebrating the win in the locker room. Trailblazers looking to hope to keep those vibes going here in Clarksville, Tennessee. And it was a history-making night in St. George last Saturday night against Northern Iowa. Trailblazer defense was in lockdown mode the entire way. They had 4 more sacks, so that's 13 total sacks over the first 4 games. That's second best in the country in FCS. And after giving up 286 yards rushing the previous week at Idaho, Utah Tech gave up only 47 yards rushing to Northern Iowa. That's the best performance against a D1 opponent. 160 yards of passing for the Panthers. That adds up to be a grand total of 207 total yards, one of the best defensive outings in Utah Tech's D1 history. Now, on the offensive side of the football, first half was sluggish, didn't get much of a rhythm going, but to give you an example, Trailblazers had 127 total yards in the first half of offense. Well, 86 of those coming on the final drive. And on that final drive and in the second half, Utah Tech really got moving. Reggie Graff, 103 yards rushing, first 100-yard rushing for Utah Tech since Quali Conley in 2022. Asa Chapman, he had his career best performance, 97 yards on the ground, including this 66-yard touchdown that gave the Trailblazers some breathing room in the third quarter. Utah Tech rushed for 239 yards. That's the best output against an FCS team. Now, Graff, who got his first start of the season with Bronson Barman and Deacon Hill both banged up. Reggie went the entire way, 110 yards passing, and that touchdown to Daniel Thomason, Thomas's second touchdown of the season. And once again, the offensive line did not give up an official sack. So these guys have only given up 1 official sack through the first 4 games. And when you consider that teams from across the country that have played 4 or more games, more than 1 game anyway, that number of only allowing 1 sack, that is tied for first in the country in FCS. These guys don't get a lot of attention, so we figured we'd give them a shout-out. Pesi Fanua, a freshman. Matthew Snar, a freshman. Dallin Johnson, a freshman. Cade Draper, a freshman. Bryce Crowley, senior. Justin Enna, sophomore. And Justice Enna, he's played with a broken wrist the last 2 games. Then you have seniors Nolan Reynolds and Devin Tejon. They have only given up 1 official sack through the first 4 games. That, for teams that have played more than 1 game, that's best in the nation, tied for first. And there are teams in the Ivy League. They've only played 1 game. They haven't given up a sack, but we're not counting them because you got to play at least more than 1 game. So these guys have stepped up. They protected the quarterback, and last Saturday they wore down Northern Iowa, especially in that second half, and provided huge holes for that running game. Now, for Austin Peay, Governors are 2-2. They open up with a win against FBS team, Middle Tennessee State. Then they went to Georgia. Bulldogs currently ranked 3rd and 5th in the country in FBS, and they held Georgia to only 28 points, losing 28-6. Now, the following week, Georgia went into Knoxville and put up 44 points on a nationally ranked Knoxville, Tennessee Volunteers team. So that tells you how good this Austin Peay defense is. And last week, they opened up the conference schedule at Abilene Christian. They fell behind 31-3, a couple of turnovers deep in their own territory. Then they outscored the Wildcats 28-7 after that. Quarterback Chris Parsons transferred from Mississippi State, built like a running back, 5'11", 225, second leading rusher on the team. Also averages 206 yards passing per game. Their defense is one of the best in the country, top 8 in the country against the rush, and they're top 20 in the country in total defense. Now, last week, Northern Iowa, they were big and strong, especially up front. Not so big today for Austin Peay, but they are speed demons on both sides of the football. They got some speedy receivers. And the key for the Trailblazers today is keep everything in front of them. Keep everybody in front of them. Coaches are concerned. If the Governors get into open space, they have the ability just to run away from the Trailblazers secondary and linebackers. So they want to keep everything in front of them. Don't let anything get behind them. Then offense, they've got to hold their blocks like they did in the second half, and they've got to be quick to react and quick to the holes and quick to their position because, again, this is probably one of the top 2 quickest and fastest teams the Trailblazers will face this season. Time now to hear from Austin Peay head coach Jeff Ferris in his second season. He knows from last year's game in St. George that this Trailblazer team, they're better, and they're going to be a challenge today at home.
They played tremendously hard last year, and it was a dogfight in Utah. I think they're improving all 3 phases. I think they're very, very well coached, and they're very sound. As you watch them on film, I like to, right when we get back, try to find freebies, things that we can, give us an advantage, and there's not many to find. The biggest thing, look at their defense is, they're 5th in the country in sacks. Those edge pieces, they're very, very active. 91's a returning player, very, very good player, and they play really, really hard. They're going to challenge you. They'll play some zone, but also in some man coverage situations, they like the pressure. They run a high volume of defense, which makes sense knowing Lance and his background, his expertise. And then offensively, I think they're creative with finding ways to run the football. I think both quarterbacks can deliver the ball accurately and have athleticism. And they've got a toughness about them that makes them effective. And in the kicking game, they're really good, field goal, punt, kickoff. We're not going to get a ton of kickoff return opportunities, and they play the game that you'd want to be played. So I think they're a complete football team. It's going to be a tremendous opportunity for our guys, and we're going to have to play great to win.
All right, a couple more notes on Austin Peay. They have not won a conference home game since the final game of 2023. They only won 1 home game a year ago, and they have had a complete turnover from a year ago. They only have 10 returning players from a year ago, and they have around 50 transfers. So they got a lot of new guys that have transferred, and especially on defense, you can really tell the difference by the way they played Georgia Bulldogs and held them to 28 points. Now, Clarksville, Tennessee. Where is Clarksville? Well, Nashville is a 1,744 mile flight from St. George. We flew into Nashville yesterday, and then it's about an hour drive to Clarksville, Tennessee. So we're an hour away from Nashville and about a 3-hour drive from Louisville, Kentucky. All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, famous people from Clarksville. Coach Anderson will take us into the film room, and we'll get to know Asa Chapman just a little bit better. That's when Trailblazer Kickoff comes back to Austin Peay.
If you haven't seen Utah Tech University lately, chances are you haven't seen it at all. With hands-on polytechnic learning across 300 academic programs, 30 new and renovated state-of-the-art facilities, the most affordable university tuition in the state, and 300 days of sunshine. Why look anywhere else? Discover why Utah Tech was recently named one of Education Magazine's 10 prominent universities and colleges to watch. Join us and experience the active learning, active life difference at Utah Tech.
One of the most famous Clarksville natives, Olympic champion Wilma Rudolph. Rudolph contracted polio as a child in Clarksville. After overcoming that, she became the first American woman to win 3 gold medals in track and field in a single Olympics, 1960 in Rome, where she was acclaimed the fastest woman in the world. Clarksville has honored Rudolph with her own street, Wilma Rudolph Boulevard, and a life-size bronze statue at the Event Center, also with her name on it.
Back here in Forterra Stadium on the campus of Austin Peay University. We're just a little over 20 minutes away from kickoff. Third meeting between Utah Tech and the Governors of Austin Peay. Time now to hit the film room. Head coach Lance Anderson breaks down the film from last week's game against Northern Idaho. Plenty to talk about and plenty of good things to talk about as well.
Okay, I'm going to start here with one of our defensive plays from early in the game in the first quarter that really set the tone for the rest of the game. So we've got the situation here where it's a 3rd and 8, and we decide to bring a blitz on this particular play. So we're going to rush all 5 of these guys up front. Now, anytime you bring a blitz, the key is that the coverage holds up. So you really want your pass rush and your coverage to be able to work together. So on this particular blitz, we're going to be in man-to-man coverage. So you're going to see, across the board, we are matched up man-to-man coverage. And the first thing I want you to notice here on this is just how good our coverage is here across the board. So as I let this thing play, you'll notice, as I stop this here, you'll see everyone is in good position. Everyone has their man covered. We're in great position across the board. So there's not an easy place for the quarterback to go with the throw. So as I go to the end zone copy here, you'll see that what that coverage does is it gives time for our rush to get there. And I'll point out a couple things on this particular blitz. So here we're going to run a pick pattern right here. Between these two, we're going to blitz our inside linebacker right here. And then the key to this one is Moon Ashby right here. He wins this one-on-one matchup, comes free, sacks the quarterback, creates a fumble, and that fumble is recovered by Dallin Havea. So let me back this up to the start here of the end zone, and you can watch the blitz and then watch the execution there by Moon Ashby beating the offensive tackle, getting to the quarterback, get the ball out, and then Dallin Havea recovers. So that was just a big play in terms of setting the tone for the entire game and really led to a great defensive performance on Saturday. One of the things we really did well in the second half was run the football. And this is a good example right here. We had a lot of those 4, 5, 8-yard gains. This is one that Asa Chapman breaks for a 66-yard touchdown. And you'll notice the great job blocking by the O-line here. But a couple other things I really want to point out is Eric Olson here getting to the second level and blocking the linebacker. And then Daniel Thomason doing a tremendous job of blocking this corner right here. Those guys cover their men up. They stay on their blocks. And that gives Asa Chapman just enough time and space to be able to break this for a touchdown. So great job by those guys getting on blocks. Asa Chapman makes the first guy that gets there miss, and he outruns everyone else. So let's take a look at this from the end zone. I think it's particularly impressive from the end zone of how Eric Olson is able to get up and block the linebacker, and how across the board, offensive line-wise, we are getting on our blocks and we are blocking everyone. And you'll see there's really one guy that has a chance to tackle Asa, and then he makes him miss. There's the miss right there. Asa turns on the speed down the sideline for a touchdown. I mean, those explosive plays are always key to winning games. And I think in the second half, we did a great job of running the football, and that allows us to break some big plays like this.
All right, a lot of good things to look back on in that win over Northern Iowa. Moments ago, I said Northern Idaho. I meant Northern Iowa. So Trailblazers going to have that same kind of execution here against a very quick and fast Austin Peay football team. So Asa Chapman, he had a career night last week against Northern Iowa, career high 97 yards rushing, including that 66-yard touchdown. Time to get to know Asa just a little bit better in this edition of Trailblazer Tales.
Hello, my name is Asa Chapman. I am a running back here at Utah Tech, redshirt sophomore, born and raised California, Southern California area, moved around a lot. Son of Anitra Chapman and Ivan Chapman Sr. I got two siblings, my brother Ivan Jr. and then my sister Kamari Hicks. Growing up, my first sport was basketball. I loved basketball growing up, seeing my older siblings play and older cousins play. But then I hit the age of 10, tried out football because my coach said I was pretty big. So I tried it out, and I was honestly really scared the first week that I played. And then it kind of just clicked for me, and I started just dominating kids. I was wearing a neck pad, actually. I got called Christian Okoye when I was younger, but that's when I really became passionate about football. So then I stopped playing basketball and focused solely on that, yeah. I chose Utah Tech because I feel like they showed the most interest in me. Throughout my process, I happened to get injured my senior year, but Coach Clark, he was heavy on me. He kept talking to me, calling me, and I really appreciated the honesty that he had and the pure passion for the game that he talked to me about. So that was the sole reason why I came here, and I really appreciate Coach Clark for all that. A crazy sports moment for me, my senior year playoff game against Rancho Cucamonga, it was double overtime. We're in a shootout, and I'm supposed to seal the edge on the block. I missed the block, but me and my quarterback have a weird connection to where we can just throw the ball to each other whenever. So what happens is I'm behind the play. He throws it to me. I'm not supposed to throw the ball again. So what happens, I broke a tackle and just saw my wide open teammate 20 yards down the field. I jumped past through it, and then that was the game-winning touchdown for the game. So honestly, that's a pretty cool moment for me.
Did the coach say, what were you doing?
Yeah, after the game, my coach came up to me and said, "Did you hear me say don't do it?" And I was like, nah, I just did it anyway. Yeah, it was cool, for sure.
The Austin Peay Marching Band just finishing up the national anthem. That was Asa Chapman, the redshirt freshman running back, career-high 97 yards last week against Northern Iowa. He's going to be relied on heavily. They would love to have another big-time performance from Asa and the running game this week as well. All right, time now to take a look back at last Saturday night's win over Northern Iowa in this edition of Sounds of the Game. And welcome inside Greater Zion Stadium on the campus of Utah Tech University. Glad to have you aboard. Utah Tech hosting the Panthers of Northern Iowa. This is the second ever meeting between these two. So the Trailblazers trying to pick up their first win. And here they come. Reggie's going to run it, trying to get some of that back. Reggie to the 15, trying to power his way to the first down. I think he's close. Reggie grabbed part of the carry. So here we go, 20 seconds left. Reggie, across the middle, touchdown, Trailblazers. Daniel Thomason with his fourth career touchdown and his second of the season. Utah Tech takes a 7-6 lead into the locker room. Here comes the pressure. Shackelman gets away from a couple of Trailblazers, and that will be considered a sack by Leighton Tonavasa. Right up the middle, plenty of room into the secondary, across midfield into Northern Iowa territory, down the right sideline. Asa Chapman, touchdown! Asa Chapman! Wow! 66 yards, Asa Chapman, his second touchdown as a Trailblazer. Reggie's going to run it, and he is smacked at the 38. Keeps his feet, and still on his feet down the sideline. Oh, man, how did Reggie get away from all that? Wow. Reggie, pump fake. Going deep down the sideline. Caught! Harrison, 10-yard line. Big play, Trailblazers. Reggie Graff to Dejon Harrison. And Utah Tech is in business. 23-yard field goal. And it's good. Trailblazers get 3 out of it and now lead Northern Iowa 17-9. Chapman almost broke another one. Reggie's going to keep it. Got the edge. 30, 25, slides down. Is a 28-yard field goal. And this is good. So it comes down to this. 1:16 left, 4th and 6. Here comes the pressure from the right side. They pick it up. Sheckelman goes down. Trailblazers defense get off the field, and they're going to win their first game of the season. So Utah Tech gets their first win of the season. The final here, 20-9 over Northern Iowa.
Congratulations. This is what it should feel like after every game. You guys have earned this. And you know, we are capable of a lot more. We are capable of being a lot better. But this is what we want it to feel like. I appreciate all the work, all the effort. This is what we want every week. And we're not going to settle for anything less. Yes, UT on 3, 1, 2, 3, UT!
And a big shout out to our 2 Trailblazer Sports Vision Utah Tech student interns, Ariel Frederickson and Ryan Keith, who produced and edited this week's Sounds of the Game. All right, time to take another timeout. When we come back to Clarksville, another famous person from this city. Here is a hint. I can't hear you.
If you haven't seen Utah Tech University lately, chances are you haven't seen it at all. With hands-on polytechnic learning across 300 academic programs, 30 new and renovated state-of-the-art facilities, the most affordable university tuition in the state, and 300 days of sunshine. Why look anywhere else? Discover why Utah Tech was recently named one of Education Magazine's 10 prominent universities and colleges to watch. Join us and experience the active learning, active life difference at Utah Tech.
Another famous person that called Clarksville, Tennessee home.
Sergeant Carter, sir! Sergeant Carter, sir! I can't hear you!
Actor Frank Sutton, who played Sergeant Carter on the 1960 TV series Gomer Pyle.
I will watch over you every minute.
Before taking on his iconic TV role, Sutton was an actual sergeant in the U.S. Army from 1943 to 46 and received a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart. A statue of Frank Sutton now stands in downtown Clarksville.
Pat Summitt, the Hall of Fame basketball coach that built the powerhouse Tennessee Volunteers women's basketball program, is also a Clarksville native, and she also has a bronze statue in her honor here in Clarksville, Tennessee. Time now to get the final word before kickoff with head coach Lance Anderson.
Coach, a little pep in their step this week after the win?
Exactly. I think guys are feeling good about the win, and they're excited to try to build on that.
You got the win, you all excited and happy, and you got the satisfaction of finally seeing your team able to finish. But when you go back and look at the tape, what do you see?
A lot of really good things. Love the way that we ran the football, and especially in the second half, and that we were able to wear them down. Defensively, the things that stand out, we were much better against the run. We were able to get off the field on third down. We didn't give up explosive plays, and we continued to play good red zone defense.
So what was it that made you so successful against this team with the running game?
I think it was just the preparation, just continuing to build week after week. I think the fact that we played some really good teams, really big offensive line, that helped us as we matched up against a big physical offensive line with Northern Iowa.
Now, you're head coach, but you're also a psychologist when it comes to the players. What's the mentality of this team? What did that win do?
I guess time will tell. Because, a team that is not used to winning, a young team, it's difficult to always predict. The message we've tried to give the team this week is that, hey, we got to build on the positives, those things that we did well. But we got to recognize the areas that need improvement and address those, and that we need to continue to work hard. We need to continue to give great effort if we want to earn the right to win on Saturday.
What does it say about your team? You're missing a starting offensive lineman, 2 starters in your secondary, and still came away with the win.
Again, I think it shows that we've built some depth, and that when we lose guys can step in. And so far this year, we've done a good job with that.
When you look at Austin Peay, you have to go right to that Georgia game, the 5th-ranked team in the country, that they held to only 26 points.
Yeah, they really played Georgia well. They did not look outmatched in that game. They really fought hard. And the other game that's really impressive to watch is the Middle Tennessee game, where they're playing an FBS team on the road. I know it's not far from them, but it is on the road. And they really dominated that football game. They played very well against Middle Tennessee.
So how would you compare this team to a Northern Iowa or some of the other teams you played?
I think talent-wise, they are right with those teams. They are very athletic. They're a very good team. Maybe they're not as big as an Idaho or Northern Iowa, but they make up for that just with their athletic ability and their talent.
What's the one thing you want to see from your team?
We have to play hard. We have to compete. If we do that and play physical football, we're going to have a chance.
All right, the captains for today's game, Reggie Graff, Leighton Tonavasa, and Nolan Reynolds. They're out on the field getting ready for the coin toss. We are getting ready for opening kickoff. Utah Tech and Austin Peay. You can hear this game on the Fan Sports Radio Network. Conference opener here in Clarksville, Tennessee, coming up next on The Fan.